Chapter 25. She met her old friend again. Hello? Before she could finish her words, Jianran was shocked by the other person in front of her. She could not even speak for a moment. He was not the only one in Liu Chenkun's office. There was also a tall man in a black suit. The man stood in front of the wide floor-to-ceiling window with his hands behind his back. His gentle gaze landed on Jianran. The two of them looked at each other and just looked at each other quietly. No one moved their eyes away. After 3 years, Jianran thought that when she saw this person again, there would not be any waves in her heart, but the truth was not. She saw this face that she could not be more familiar with. All the bad memories surged into Jianran's heart like a tide and cruelly tore the scar that had just healed. It was as if blood slowly flowed out from her heart. Jianran wanted to turn around and leave, but the heavy pain from the past held her back, making her unable to move at all. She could only look at the man in front of her. They looked at each other for a long time, and the man walked towards her. He walked to her side and smiled. Manager Liu, I think this is the Miss Jian you praised. The man's voice, especially the words, Miss Jian, was like a blow to Jianran's head, making her sober up a little. Young Master Gu, yes. Liu Chenkun nodded and said, Miss Jian, this is young Master Gu from our Gu family. He wants to hear what you think about this project. Jianran clenched her fist and took a deep breath. She tried to maintain a professional smile. Young Master Gu, hello? Although she had tried her best to maintain a professional smile, her voice still trembled a little when she spoke. Liu Chenkun said again, I heard from Manager Zhao that Miss Jian was very diligent in preparing for this case. Please tell me now. Manager Liu is too kind. Jianran took a deep breath again. She turned on the laptop again and tried to ignore the existence of another man. She sincerely expressed her opinion on this project. While she was explaining, she felt a burning gaze staring at her. However, she chose to ignore it and completely ignore him. As she spoke, the secretary came in and called Liu Chenkun away. Jianran did not notice for a moment. When she found out, there was only her and the man called Young Master Gu left in the office. There was no one else in the office. The smile on Jianran's face instantly disappeared. She got up and wanted to leave without even saying goodbye. The man's movements were much faster than hers. He stretched out his long arm and pulled her into his embrace. He hugged her tightly and shouted from the depths of his heart the words filled with deep affection. Ranran. Jianran struggled to break free from his embrace, and her hands that were hanging by her side clenched into fists. She closed her eyes and opened them again. Her eyes were already filled with coldness. Mister, please behave yourself. After she said those words, Jianran turned around and was about to leave. The man once again reached out and grabbed her wrist. Ranran, it has already been 3 years. Could it be that you are still blaming us? Jianran wanted to shake off his hand, but his strength was too great. It was so big that her wrist hurt and she could not shake him off at all. Jianran took a deep breath and endured the heart-piercing pain. She said coldly, Sir, please let me go. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The man completely ignored what she said and continued to speak with deep affection. Ranran, sit down and let's have a good talk. I told you to let go. Jianran bit her lips and turned her head to blink. She forced back the tears that were about to burst out from her eyes. 3 years ago, she did not shed a single tear. Today, 3 years later, she would not shed tears for someone who should not have cried. The man pulled her into his embrace again. He hugged her tightly and called out her name one after another. Ranran, Ranran. Jianran used all her strength to struggle, but the difference in strength between the man and the woman was too great. Even if she used all her strength, she would not be able to push the man in front of her away. Jianran tried for a long time but was unable to break free from him. She knew that it was useless to do so, so she did not struggle. He saw that she had calmed down and the man pushed her out of his embrace. He put his hands on her shoulders. Ranran, I know that you have suffered a lot during these 3 years by yourself. Now I am here to pick you up. Come back with me. Your parents and your sister, they are all very worried about you. She heard the man's words. Jianran suddenly calmed down and said very calmly, Who are you? What right do you have to say these words to me? He called her back. Would she be able to go back? 3 years ago, when they abandoned her as an abandoned child, they should have known that they would never be able to return to the past in this lifetime. Ranran. Don't call me that. You calling me that will only make me feel disgusted. Jianran interrupted him. She forcefully suppressed the pain in her heart. She tried her best to speak as calmly as possible. I'm living very well now. Please don't appear in front of me and disturb my life again. You're doing very well? The man reached out and pinched her chin. He forced her to look up at him. He slowly said word by word, Ranran, if I didn't give you the project of Starlight, do you really think you could stand out among dozens of companies with just a small innovation technology? Jianran bit her lips and looked at him coldly. You? The man's words were like a steel knife that stabbed deep into Jianran's heart. He forcefully cut off her pride and pride for her job. In these 3 years, she worked hard and lived a hard life. No matter what she did, she relied on her own hard work to create it. However, after working hard for so long, this was the answer she got. It was not that Janran's efforts were rewarded, but that she had been played around like a clown in the palm of someone's hand for the past 3 years. Janran closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Then, she slowly smiled. Thank you for young Master Gu's good intentions. I thank you on behalf of our company's staff. Ranran, I did all of this for you. The man raised his hand to touch her face, but before he could touch her, he was slapped away by her. Janran gritted her teeth and said, Don't touch me, I feel dirty. She threw down those words and turned around to walk to the door. She stretched out her hand and twisted the handle of the door. However, the door had already been locked from the outside, so she couldn't get out. She turned around and glared at him. What exactly are you trying to do? Ranran, I will not hurt you. The man approached her again. He said affectionately, I just want to hug you. I can feel that you really exist beside me. Janran leaned against the wall and moved to the left. She wanted to increase the distance between the two of them. The man was not in a hurry. He seemed very confident. He slowly walked towards her. Janran's hot temper was ignited in her bones. She grabbed the ash cup on the coffee table and said, I told you not to come over.